Okay, another young up-and-coming team that's had a lot of success this year are the Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh my God.
They're on an 11-game win streak, franchise record. They are 30-14, third in the Western Conference, 1.5 game behind Golden State. Now, you, John, you've been very high on Memphis. You've raved about role players like John Conchar. Last night, he had 17 rebounds, I believe, which was
big body,
amazing. Yeah,
6'5".
I feel like you are the highest person at this table on Memphis. I feel like you're wearing their colors for a reason this episode. So do you think that the Grizzlies have put themselves in the conversation with contenders like the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference?
It depends on how you look at it. 'Cause I feel like there's two layers of contention. So, like, you have your favorites, and then, like, look at the Eastern Conference. You got Milwaukee and Brooklyn. That's kind of like the top echelon. The echelon below them, you have, so, like, 3 or 4 teams, like 2 or 3. With the West, I think they're in that top 4. They're deep in it. I mean, they're playing super hot basketball right now. But the thing is, this is in January. So it's like, I don't want to put too much stock into it entirely because, like, ultimately it's like if you're a young team like this, the youngest team in the NBA outside OKC, you have so many games left to be played. Like, they're on a roll right now, winning all these road games. Everyone's looked really good. They're not even like Jaren Jackson Jr. shooting 32% from 3 on the year. His sophomore year shooting 39%. I can't imagine what the record would be right now if he was shooting close to that. Like, they're shooting right now, like, they have shooters in this team, and him, Desmond Bane, I think they still have a lot more potential this year with the shooting, but just, like, man, the contention thing I'm going to hold off on, but, I mean, they're a top 4 team in the West, certainly. I mean, I don't think the Lakers this year, unless they make a big-time move, which I doubt, are going to be able to go further in the playoffs, because they match up well against teams. So you had Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5. Steven Adams this year has been so good from the offensive rebounding, the screen assists, he's fitting well, sneaky good passer, the pick-and-roll play of John Morant. I don't even want, like, I go on for a tangent with Ja Morant. I mean,
me and you both, man. Me and you both.
I mean, it's not even like how good he is, but like the energy he brings. Like, he epitomizes like everything Memphis would want in their star player, because even though he is the man there, he doesn't necessarily act like it. Like, he'll talk trash to you on the court and all, but like he doesn't have an ego. Like, he's like all in it for making the right reads and getting his guys set up, whether it's Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks. He's in it for his boys, and like those guys, they're so tight together. They play well. Their play style is mesh, and they're young, really young. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for this team. Zaire Williams, too, man. He has looked really good.
When back in the offseason when Memphis traded up for the 10th overall pick, I thought they were targeting Josh Giddey. And if Josh Giddey had been on the team right now, I feel like, I mean, Zaire Williams has shown flashes, but Josh Giddey with this team would have just been exceptional. But I think that, I know that you love Ja Morant.
Love him.
But JC is the one that put you on Ja.
He told you that, but please don't believe him. Like, please don't believe him.
He told me that he's the one that put you on Ja, that you didn't know who the hell he was until he told you about him.
I don't know why he says that. I really don't know why he said.
I sent him a video one day of like Ja Morant.
Yeah, we knew him
rising,
at the same time.
and I told him like, "Yo, look at this kid," and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I know him. He's bouncy. You know, he's at risk that I could see him getting into the top 5 because when I sent him the mock draft, he was like number 9."
That's just the first college player JC sent me. That's why he says that. Like, that's the first guy he ever sent me. And he was like, "Yeah, bro, he's nice." And I was like, "Yeah, I've seen him before." But it's their mentality. Memphis, like, they play so mature and they play like years ahead of their time. Like, they're like the grit and grind Grizzlies in year 2. It's like they've taken, like, them in Atlanta were supposed to be the teams coming up, and they've completely blown Atlanta out like this year in terms of like just that team that's taking that next step. And they didn't make much moves. You know, everybody thought Jonas Valanciunas was a step down from Adams in terms of talent, which he was, but Adams looks like he fits far better with this team because of his passing, his pick and roll with John Morant, and his defense for this team. You know, it's just been incredible. And not to mention Desmond Bane making that. Me personally, I didn't see him doing this. I did. I thought he'd make a modest jump. I didn't think he'll make this type of major increase. Dylan Brooks, you know, for all his poor shot selection, he's still very valuable for this team. A lot of us on this table, when they picked Zaire Williams, we was like, huh? Like, what? Just like him? He's played well in his minutes. You know, D'Anthony Melton, Tyus Jones, Kyle Anderson, like these guys. This is a deep team. For me to say contention, though, young players. And I say this to say young players live for games like this. Games against the Warriors in the regular season, games against Phoenix, big games against LeBron. Like, they get up for these games. Veteran teams, they understand these aren't the games that we need to win. These are just the games. These are the games that they matter to a sense, but these aren't the games that matter down the end. We know we need to be where we need to be in April, in May, in June. That's what the Warriors, the Lakers to an extent, even though they suck, the Suns, the Jazz. That's what they know. They just need to be ready by those months. With a team like Memphis, people are going to ride. People are going to jump on the scales because they're winning right now, and they're a young team on fire. And as they should, they deserve the credit they should. But this is, like you said, this is January. This is before the All-Star break. This is early. A lot of teams, like Memphis, I feel like they're peaking at the right time, but they don't want to peak too early. They don't want to peak in January and then fall off in April and May. I think they are a top 4 team in the West, but I think, like you said, there's different tiers. There's tier 1 teams like the Warriors, the Suns, the Bucks, there's the Nets. Then there's that tier 2. Oh, I'll throw the Heat in the tier 1 too. Oh, I apologize. I don't know how I forgot about them. Then there's tier 2 teams like the Jazz, the Bulls. You could probably throw Memphis in there with those type of teams. But even then, like with the Bulls, with Memphis, they have something to prove because they haven't, they haven't proved anything yet. But like you said with John Morant, he should be in that MVP discussion. Jaren Jackson, he's made that improvement. And this team is firing on all cylinders. They deserve all the credit in the world. But it's too early to say contention because teams like the Warriors, teams like Phoenix, they know what it takes. And the Warriors, we haven't seen 15 games from their big 3 yet. We haven't seen a good collection of games from their guys healthy yet. So it's still early to say, what they're going to be. And I think you threw out the record last night on Twitter. I forgot it. They're
2-5 without Draymond Green.
They're 2-5 without Draymond Green. Draymond Green hasn't played. So
you don't think he's that valuable?
This guy is insane.
That's what you said. You said that.
What did I say exactly? Go ahead. Say it.
I don't know what you said exactly, but I remember that you was like, yo, Draymond is not even as good as Ben Simmons. That's what you said.
You think I'm Drew? Like Drew said that. I didn't say that. But I say the same.
How about you definitely do undermine Draymond?
That's not true.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
I don't. When he plays with Steph, he's amazing. He's absolutely incredible. But we can't forget when he was by himself, he was horrible. Like
the team was horrible.
Yeah, but he was horrible. Like we can't forget that. You can be the team can be horrible, but you can be great if you're a great player.
You put him on a team.
The Pelicans are horrible. Brandon Ingram is great.
Well, help the Warriors get the 2nd overall pick, though. No, if he balls out, they don't get a top 5 pick, and that was their.
You really think if he balls out, they still don't get the top 5
If he's hitting
pick?
threes the way he did in 2016, he's crediting for Damian Lee in his first year and all those guys. They don't get the 2nd overall pick. You know what I mean?
Well, I say this: Memphis, they deserve all the credit in the world, but I don't want to say they're a contender yet because it's still too early for me to say that. But they're definitely on the right track to be a contender.
Oh, it's tough to say. They are on the makes of a team that looks like they're going to be a contender. I mean, in their 11-game win streak, I believe they've beaten some really good teams. They beat the Suns. The Lakers aren't good that year, but for all it's worth, you beat LeBron, the Nets, the Cavaliers. They beat the Warriors, and then I think last night they beat a Minnesota team who's tough, who's not an easy team to beat. I was checking the statistics, and currently the Memphis Grizzlies are a top 10 offense and defense. There's a number 7 defense in the league right now today, and then there's a number 6 offense today in the NBA as well. So, they've been playing lights out. I mean, John Morant's having a career year. Obviously, he's looking like he's going to be an all-star. He's averaging 25 and 7. Dylan Brooks, for what it's worth, he's still that two-way player, that good defender. Desmond Bane is taking a step in the right direction, averaging close to 18 points per game, one of the best three-point shooters in the league. And then Jaren Jackson Jr., his versatility. Like John said, he's shooting 32% from the 3. If he was hitting more like he was in his sophomore season, we'd probably be talking about him on offensively differently. But, I mean, the offensive statistics, they're averaging 112 points per game, which is number 3 in the NBA. They're number 1 in fast break points. They score 17 points per game in the fast break. And another thing that I feel like a lot of people tend to forget when it comes to contenders, the Grizzlies have the number 3 scoring bench in the NBA. Right behind the Utah Jazz, who we can all agree are contenders in their own regard. And then obviously Charlotte's number 2, but they're also a really good team on the rise as well. So Memphis being number 3 in bench scoring as well. And then defensively, they're number 1 in blocks, number 1 in steals, number 1 in defensive rebounds. And then since Thanksgiving, I stumbled upon these statistics. They're number 1 in defensive rating, win percentage, and net rating. So they've been playing lights out since Thanksgiving. And then they're number 1 in steals, rebounds, blocks, those defensive categories. So this is a team that's top 10 in both offense and defense and has the 3rd highest scoring bench in the NBA, led by somebody who I consider John Morant to be a superstar right now. I don't know if you guys are on that, but I think he's a bona fide superstar. So I'm going to hold off because it's January, but all the stats that I've read and that I've seen that have been given to me, this points to a team that looks like they're on their way to being a contender. I don't know if in the playoff series if they can beat the Warriors or the Suns or even the Jazz, but I think that if any one of those teams play Memphis, I think that series, any one of those series can go to 6 to 7 games, depending on how well Moran plays in his first playoff run. He was playing magnificently against the Utah Jazz. So, I mean, the numbers say they're on route to be a contending team, but I'm going to wait off on it, though. But I've been very impressed with what I've seen from this team.
I was hoping that one of you guys were going to give me an emphatic, they are contenders. Not that I'm going to do it, but I was hoping that one of you would. Before the season, I wasn't high on Memphis. I knew they'd be in the playoff picture for sure. I thought what we're seeing now from Memphis on a smaller degree would have been what Minnesota would be doing right now. And I still think they have the potential to make a run and get into the 5th seed because that's where I predict them to be. The Grizzlies are very intriguing. Jaren Jackson Jr., I think, is their most intriguing player. I know Morant is their superstar, but I've said it on the show numerous times. The Grizzlies are a Jaren Jackson Jr. breakout away from being true contenders in the Western Conference. It's as simple as that. He has 90 blocks this season, the most in the Western Conference, second in the NBA behind Miles Turner, who has over 110, which is absurd. That's how great defensively he is. Since Thanksgiving, they are the first team in net rating, first in defensive rating, first in win percentage, and despite them being 24th in three-pointers made a game and 19th in percentage, they're the best rebounding team in basketball, first in steals and first in blocks. And when we talk about depth, I think they have the best depth in the NBA. You know, you look at guys like Desmond Bane, Steven Adams, Kyle Anderson, Conchar, Dylan Brooks, Williams, Tyus Jones, Brandon Clark, Aldama, Melton, Tillman. I mean, all these guys can be rotational players, key rotational players on different teams. And last year, you're smiling, you're super giddy right now.
I mean, Steven Adams, I didn't touch on it before, he's averaging 4 offensive rebounds a game. So they're first in the league in offensive rebounding, and that helps with them not shooting well. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Clark as well has looked good. Like, a lot of people are super high on him going into the 2019 draft. Good rookie year, not a good sophomore year. Slow start to the year this year, but now he's starting to pick it up. He just adds a new dynamic off their bench. And then touched on Desmond Bane this year. His not only his shooting as like one of like the 6 or 7 best shooters in the league this year, but his ability to be a secondary or tertiary creator alongside Ja and or Dylan Brooks, who's missed so much time. I'm all in on him.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just as I was naming these players, I saw your smile get increasingly growing each time.
Tyus Jones as well, dude. He can run a second unit as good as anybody. So, like, when Ja was out, they didn't skip a beat. People are saying, oh, trade Ja. And so, like, some of it was memey, I would assume. But, like,
well, it was dumb.
I mean, obviously. But Tyus Jones in that time, he was scoring well. He has assist-to-turnover ratio strong. He's a good decision maker, good enough perimeter defender, can hit his shots. Was, again, scoring pretty well as a backup guard. He's a jack of all trades for them. He is on an expiring contract. I don't know what they're going to do with that, but I feel like one of these guys is going to be gone within the next year. They're going to have to make sort of similar to Atlanta some decisions because with their front office, they have a good problem. They've made so many good decisions in trades and draft picks.
Kyle Anderson's an expiring deal too.
I think Kyle Anderson, maybe even DeAnthony Melton, my guy, they may be taken out of the picture.
That was on a contract though.
I mean, I know, but like long term,
like
some of these guys, sooner rather than later, they have to make decisions on them because they're going to have to pay Jaren, or they already paid Jaren. But, you know, after that, Desmond Bane, all these other guys, they're going to have to pay unless they package them in the trade. And please don't trade Desmond Bane, Zach Kleiman. I plead. He's so good next to Ja Morant.
Jaren Jackson Jr. has 3 straight 20.5 block games. That's the first time it's been done since Anthony Davis in 2014, and first time a player has ever done it in Memphis Grizzlies franchise history. They will be contenders if Jaren Jackson breaks out. As simple as that. Right now, Ja is their superstar, and it's a bunch of great rotational pieces that fit with him. But in order for them to take the next step, they need something like OKC in 2012. You know, you had KD that was a superstar, but they didn't take off until Russell Westbrook took that next step, and Harden took that next step as a 6th man and really fulfilling his role. Same thing with Golden State. Golden State didn't take off until Steph became that star, Draymond filled that void, and Clay became that second option. Memphis needs Jaren Jackson Jr. to break out. I think Desmond Bane, look, as much as I love Desmond Bane, I think he's kind of reached what he's going to be.
Yeah.
I think, you know, he's an older player. I think what he is right now is very great, but Jaren Jackson is the one that you look at on Memphis and you say, he can really be a top 20 player in the NBA if he wants to. And if he becomes that, then yeah, they're definitely contenders.